this talk of civil unrest. Someone's been stirring the pot, sire.
Go! Go!
Gout playing up, sire.
It's the damp. It's the only possible explanation. Now, get me a brandy.
The mood of the people, sire, is turning ugly.
They're commoners, Alfred. They've always been ugly. It's not my fault they live in a place that stinks of fish oil and tar. Jobs, shelter, food. It's all they ever bleat about.
It's my belief, sire. They're being led on by troublemakers.
Then we must find these troublemakers and arrest them.
My thoughts exactly, sire.
And all this talk of change must be suppressed. We can't afford to let the rabble band together and start making noises. The next thing you know, they'll start... You picked the wrong man to tangle with, Master Bard. Well, anyway, I'm quite sure the background is exactly down with that. Peter said, if the Hobbit goes, there is a part I'd love you to play, and that's the Master of Laketown. I said, good Lord, Master of Laketown? He said, no, you won't remember him. He said, but believe me, people who watch the film will.
I'm a simple man. Taxation is the price you pay for civilization, I like to say. I make no apology for representing that. People, perhaps in future times, will envy.
They'll look back on this film
as a golden age.
Unfortunately, in our world, when you say the consummate politician, you never think of a noble person. You actually think of someone kind of sleazy and manipulating and lying and looking after themselves. That is kind of the world we live in, and that's the world that Laketown lives in, and that's exactly what the Master is.
And of course, masterfully portrayed by Stephen Fry, who understood the character immediately.
Mood of the people, sire, is turning ugly.
They're commoners, Alfred. They've always been ugly. We all gathered round a few days earlier, Fran, Philippa, Peter and I, and we sort of busked, as we say, you know, kind of improvised the scene a bit. No one would dare. No. Bard. Yeah. Mark my words, if there's anyone behind this, it would be that. March.
Here you go, Alfred.
Here, just pop the testicle away there, sire. I can just see that poking out. Just a little look down and a big turd in the chamber pot. I'll be removing that inside.
It was described to me what some of Alfred's duties were. You know, what I think Stephen described it as being the master of the stool or something like that.
The prunes work then, sire. Good to know.
I told you prunes would be a good idea, didn't I?
It's just, the intimacy is just a bit unsettling.
It's very unsettling.
That looked good then. Like that? Just what you did then looked... No, I think just when you did both hands to sort of sit it out. Yeah, that looks fine. I told Ryan if he doesn't get it all out the window, not to worry.
No, we're standing by with a mop.
That's a bit of it.
Yeah.
Splatters
On the no, that's all right.
Lovely.
Yeah. He doesn't have to be the best shot in the world.
No.
That's a stealth. Action.
I have seen dwarves, sire.
Dwarves? I gave no permission for dwarves to enter the city.
They were smuggled in under cover of night.
Smuggled?
It's my... It doesn't seem to stick.
On one of the takes, he was talking to the Master and he opened the window and threw it out, but he didn't realise the window had swung closed again and it all just splashed onto the window and ran down. And that was the take that was in the film.
All this talk of civil unrest. Someone's been stirring the pot, sire.
Go!
What's been interesting this week is establishing a new character, or two new characters really, the Master of Laketown and Alfred.
One of the pleasures of acting is, of course, that you get to meet other actors you've never worked with before. And sometimes you just have a natural spark and ease with them. And so, fortunately, so it turned out with me and Ryan. I found him very naturally easy to work with, given that he hasn't done many movies before or much TV before, but is an experienced and respected stage actor.
Thank you very much.
I'm from a theatre background, predominantly.
It was great because Ryan was new to the world of cinema. He had come from the theatre, so a lot of the framework and structure of how things work was new to him. Ryan, generally, if you can favour your right, we're just pushing these in a bit.
The master of Lake Town, in the book, he's there, but he's not fully drawn, so to speak. But he had a huge amount of potential. That's what we saw in the character. Pete had in his mind this could be a great character for Stephen Fry to play.
Stephen Fry was somebody who I'd known for several years because we had worked together on a script for the Dam Busters, and we still are. I mean, it's a film that will still get made, and I mean, I know it sounds silly, but you want to work with nice people, and Stephen is fun and delightful.
So when it came to talking to Stephen about his character, this was really good fun because we, in the end, couldn't get revolting enough. We always knew he was going to have a bald head and this awful comb over.
You know, people that are familiar with Stephen from Jeeves and Wooster and QI and various wonderful shows that Stephen's done, they might think that he has short, dark hair, clean shaven, but that's actually a toupee, a very clever toupee, and we've finally been able to show Stephen in his true form.
I'm not too proud to show that I am, in fact, slightly
that wonderful
challenged.
little black toupee comes off and the ginger locks fall down, and this is what he really looks like.
We put a wig on him that was long, straggly and thin, so that the effect is having this rather scaly, scabby pink scalp. We had to give him new eyebrows, which we made asymmetric. We also gave him a little chin beard.
Bits of psoriasis in the beard, which probably in a close-up are visible. You sort of forget them when you're on set for a while, and people look at you and think, oh dear, does he know he's got those kind of scabby bits?
Stephen Fry realized that he's the gross one, and he just wanted to be grotesque, and they just kept pushing it. You know, he didn't mind the hideous comb-over that was happening and disjointed mustache, and he was up for it.
Absolutely brilliant.
So that's the master as you see him.
There he is. He's just gross. Oh, I'd spoken about people at Schoolmasters who had this acid reflux, and Peter found that very amusing.
There's that sudden escape of gas. Which can always happen at very unexpected and very inopportune times.
Go now with our good will and our good wishes.
Stephen was a dream to work with. And the one thing that's very, very funny, though, is they said, we love the nose. We all love the nose, fantastic nose. And I said, but that's Stephen's own. We haven't done anything to his nose at all.
The whole experience is basically any shred of dignity that an actor can have, any sort of claim to suavity or, you know, a kind of debonair style is just been taken away in every level with a padded stomach and terrible clothing and the sweat and the lank hair, and I've never had to be quite so hideously monstrous.
The master is very unkempt and somewhat ridiculous, so his costumes all suggest that. We used to do show and tells in the costume fitting area. And so he'd made several outfits for him. He didn't wear all of them. So you kind of have this show and tell with everything. And I can remember Peter just falling about laughing.
Just to kind of go out. Oh, yes, with stains around here. Yeah, terrific.
You need that level of lavishness on him and rich fabrics to begin with. We did break them down, so they looked mouldy and greasy and grimy. But he still has to look like he's got more money than everyone else.
Good morning, sire. You really are looking ravishing today.
Yes, I suppose I probably am. If one wanted to define the master, it's very well done by the relics of his youth, which are sort of idealised form of this man with his golden hair, you know, looking out over the waters. And another is his portrait, where he stands proudly in younger, better days.
When Stephen was doing one of his costume fittings, I took the opportunity to get some photographs of him. Then that was printed onto canvas. And then on top of that, actually kind of painted over practically the whole thing until it looked as much like a genuine old oil painting as possible.
What would be quite good, I think, is to give him a little bit more wave in his hair. Like, it's really a fantasy. Yeah. And then, if there's any way in Photoshop you can reduce his paunch a bit, it's almost just like taking a bunch of that and just squishing it in a bit so that it's not as extreme. It's the real thing.
That's the portrait. It's splendid. I wonder if he was ever actually like that, or whether he just told the artist
he would have
to
told
have ringlets.
the artist, I'm taking a little bit of medicine that'll bring my hair back, and so I think we should anticipate the regrowth. We should anticipate the return of my locks, because we do want to future-proof the painting.
Stephen was just a joy. It's just always so entertaining because he's just such a raconteur.
And I remember as a boy seeing Patrick Stewart
playing Ina Barbas in the Trevor Nunn Remus.
The barge she came in burned on the water.
Just as we were getting up there, Billy said, well, thank you, honey. Now you've ruined Auschwitz for me. It was either that or my urethra, and I said, no. Head, definitely. So I was in the middle with a Welsh girl either side, and we did a threesome, and whoa, was it fun. And I could have done another easily. Yes, there was a hilarious time when I dropped a pencil, I remember. Oh, God, we laughed.
Working with Stephen, it was constant banter. He is encyclopedic in his knowledge. It's fascinating. There's nothing he doesn't know about.
You could follow gold from a Roman, emperor through to Nazi ingots, and, it'd be absolutely amazing, wouldn't it?
Very intelligent. Proceeded to tell me within 2 minutes of meeting him where boom came from, the word boom and what it means, and, the derivative of, and it's like, oh.
Being from Belgium, I speak a bit Flemish, and so he was on set meeting Stephen Fry and started to talk to me in Flemish. Out of the blue. I was like, where did you learn it? And he was, I was traveling and I picked up the language. So he speaks so many languages.
The Italian word is morbidenza, fun enough. Nous devons couper. Sieg wird unser sein.
Literally, I have experienced his entire knowledge base. We sat in a tent together for several hours during filming. There is nothing I haven't heard him speak about on every subject.
Jonathan Swift hated Walpole in Gulliver's Travels. He's the character of Flimnap in the Nibelungenlied, which are these Germanic Norse sagas. The French regard Camelot as being somewhere in Normandy, and the British regard it as being either in Cornwall or Wales. There's no altimeter that can tell you how to fly at 60 feet. So in Africa, for example, every ungulate, every antelope and gazelle, you snap a twig and they go like that.
The thing is that there's nothing that Stephen isn't interested in.
I won't go so far as to say he wiped his bottom like the groom with the stool used to have to do for Henry VIII.
I assume that most of what he says is true. I mean, you have to believe it is, but unless you've got an encyclopedia or you Google it as he's talking, you're never really going to know, but I'm sure it probably is. Sorry?
Tell me what that camera is. It looks so sexy.
Oh, it's an iPhone with a wide-angle lens. Oh, yes. It's something that you don't know about. I've actually got a piece of technology that you don't know about. Hey, that makes me feel 5 foot tall. It's really good. And then you always want somebody who characters can interact with, and so it was important to pair the master up with somebody who we could run scenes with. And so Alfred, played by Ryan Gage, is the master's aide to camp.
That really does suit you a treat there, sire. Brings out your eyes.
Does it? Does it?
Does indeed.
It's such a privilege being part of a marvellous machine like this, because it's so good-natured, and it's just really, really good place to be.
One of the special occasions for me was to go onto set when Stephen Fry was being farewelled, essentially, and they'd be given a little gift.
We would like to present you with... Oh, my God! Thank you so much. You'll be back in the ginger comb-over before too long, don't worry.
I'll be naturally even fatter and balder than I am. Thank you anyway. Bless you all. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.